What's the most creative way you've ever followed your parents' rules just to annoy them? My dad had this rule. No locked doors, ever. Said it was about family trust, while literally checking my room every 20 minutes like I was running some kind of underground meth operation or something. I tried explaining I just wanted privacy to change clothes. Nope. Honest families don't hide things, kiddo. He'd knocked on my door exactly 17 times the day before while I was doing homework. I counted because I'm petty like that. Fine, Dad. No locked doors. So I removed my door completely. Took it off the hinges at 2 a.m. with his own screwdriver from the kitchen junk drawer. Took me like 40 minutes because I'm not exactly handy. Next morning, Dad's drinking his usual black coffee from his world's greatest dad mug that I got him for Father's Day. Sees the empty door frame. Where's your door? Following your rule. Can't lock what doesn't exist. Mom almost choked on her Lucky Charms. I could see her trying not to laugh behind her coffee mug, but Dad doubled down. Put it back. You know what I meant. Actually, you said no locked doors. This solves that problem forever. Very efficient. Day 2. I hung a clear shower curtain from Walmart. Cost me $8 from my McDonald's paycheck. Dad ripped it down before I even got home from school. Found it in the trash can outside. Day 3. I installed those plastic door strips from Home Depot. You know, like at car washes. The kind that makes that swooshing sound when you walk through. Dad was getting red in the face watching me hang each strip individually with tiny nails. This is absolutely ridiculous. It's not a door, Dad. It's a decorative room divider. Very zen. Day 4 was my masterpiece. I bought a motion-activated Halloween skeleton from Spirit Halloween for $12 on clearance. Thing was 3 feet tall with glowing red eyes and everything. Set it up right in my doorway on a little TV tray from the basement. Every time someone walked by, this thing screamed like a banshee and its eyes lit up red for like 5 seconds. Dad triggered it at 6 a.m. going to the bathroom. Woke up the whole house. Our dog started howling from downstairs. Take it down right now. It's not a door, Dad. It's home security. Very effective, apparently. Mom was absolutely dying laughing in the kitchen. Honey, you walked into that one. The final straw was Saturday morning. Dad's having coffee with his poker buddies, Jerry, Mike, and Bob from his work when my motion skeleton goes off. Red eyes flashing like some kind of rave. Jerry, who's about 60 and has a bad heart, drops his World Series mug. Coffee everywhere on Mom's good white tablecloth that she only uses for special occasions. Mike jumps back and knocks over his chair. Bob just starts laughing. What the hell was that thing, Tom? Dad looks at him, then at me eating cereal innocently in the kitchen, still in my SpongeBob pajamas. My daughter is teaching me about being specific with house rules. Jerry's still holding his chest. Jesus, Tom. I thought we were under attack or something. That afternoon, Dad knocked on my door frame. The skeleton's red eyes followed his movement like some creepy haunted house portrait. New rule: you can have a normal door that you can close for privacy. Just don't lock it when we're trying to talk to you. I said, thanks, Dad. That sounds totally reasonable. And immediately went to reinstall my door. As I'm putting the hinges back on with his screwdriver, Dad walks by and mutters, smart ass. But he was smiling, and he helped me line up the bottom hinge properly. 3 years later, when my little brother Jake tried the same stunt with the bathroom door, Dad just said, nice try, buddy. Your sister already taught me this lesson. Door stays on. The skeleton is still in our garage next to Dad's golf clubs and his collection of fishing lures. Dad keeps threatening to put it in his bedroom to scare Mom when she hogs the covers at night. She said if he does, she's moving it to his office cubicle at work where all his coworkers can see it. Now they just threaten each other with skeleton placement like some kind of weird Cold War. I'm honestly proud of what I created. I caught my roommate stealing from me, so I replaced her shampoo with hair removal cream. My roommate Maya had been borrowing my stuff for 6 months. It started small. My expensive Cetaphil face wash, my iPhone charger, my favorite coffee mug. Then I started recognizing my clothes in her Instagram stories and TikToks. But the final straw was finding my mom's vintage Cure t-shirt crumpled in Maya's dirty laundry hamper. This wasn't just any shirt. My mom wore it to see the Cure live in 1989 when she was in college. She gave it to me before she died 2 years ago. It's literally the only thing I have left of her youth. When I confronted Maya, she just rolled her eyes and sighed. Oh my god, you're being so dramatic right now. I was totally gonna wash it and give it back. Like it was no big deal that she'd worn my most precious possession to some random grimy house party where it got covered in beer and cigarette smoke. I was furious, but I didn't want to do anything truly harmful. I decided to mess with her ridiculously expensive $80 Olaplex shampoo bottle. My plan was simple. Squeeze in some blue food coloring. Just enough to tint her perfect blonde hair slightly green for about a week. Petty and annoying, but completely harmless. At 2 a.m. that night, I snuck into our shared bathroom with a bottle of blue food coloring from the kitchen. I found the white shampoo bottle under the sink where Maya always kept her fancy hair products, squeezed in about 10 drops of coloring, and shook it up. The next morning, I woke up to absolutely blood-curdling screams echoing from our bathroom. I expected to find Maya furious about having slightly green-tinted hair. Instead, I found her sobbing hysterically on the tile floor, completely surrounded by thick clumps of blonde hair. What the hell did you do to me? She cried, holding up a massive handful of her own hair that had just fallen out in the shower. My heart immediately sank into my stomach. Maya, I swear I only put food coloring in your shampoo bottle. That's literally all I did. That's when I noticed the white bottle sitting on the shower shelf. It wasn't her expensive Olaplex shampoo. It was my bottle of Nair hair removal cream. Same exact size, same white packaging, stored in the same spot under the bathroom sink where I kept it for shaving my legs. In the pitch black bathroom at 2 a.m., I had grabbed the completely wrong bottle. Maya's scalp was bright red and covered in patchy bald spots. Some areas looked chemically burned and angry. She had gone from gorgeous long blonde hair to looking like she had some kind of disease. I think I need to go to the hospital, she whispered, staring at her destroyed reflection in complete horror. The emergency room visit ended up costing $400 just for them to flush her scalp and give her medicated cream. The dermatologist we saw the next day delivered even worse news. news. Some of the hair follicles were permanently damaged from the chemical burn. Maya would need months of expensive laser treatments, and she'd probably always have thin spots where her hair would never grow back normally. But here's the part that absolutely destroyed me. While Maya was at her dermatologist appointment getting her ruined scalp examined, I went to finally throw away my mom's Cure t-shirt, assuming it was completely ruined from her night out, except it wasn't in her dirty laundry basket anymore. It was hanging up clean in my closet, on my good wooden hangers. Maya had already carefully hand-washed it with special vintage fabric detergent and hung it up to air dry properly. She had returned my most precious possession before I even confronted her about it. I accidentally gave my roommate permanent hair loss and disfiguring chemical burns over a t-shirt she'd already cleaned and lovingly returned. A shirt she probably only borrowed because she thought it was cool and vintage, not because she wanted to hurt me. Maya moved out exactly 3 days later, wearing a $200 synthetic wig she'd ordered online. She blocked my number and won't respond to any of my texts or Instagram messages. Her social media is now full of posts about toxic roommates and be careful who you trust with your life. I keep staring at that Cure t-shirt hanging perfectly in my closet. It smells like Maya's expensive, gentle detergent and my overwhelming guilt. I can never wear it again without remembering what I did to an innocent person. Sometimes when you think you're teaching someone a lesson, you end up learning one about yourself instead. And sometimes that lesson is discovering you're capable of truly terrible things when you let anger control you. What's your don't tell mom about this moment? Mine cost me $50,000 and almost got someone arrested. I was 19, working at Best Buy, living at home to save money. My little sister Emma was 16 and had been acting super weird for weeks, staying out late, jumpy around mom and dad, always on her phone hiding the screen. One Tuesday, I got home from work and heard crying from her room. I found her on her bed with this pregnancy test in her hands. 2 bright pink lines. She was absolutely sobbing, saying she couldn't tell mom because they'd just had this massive fight about her failing chemistry. Dad would literally murder her boyfriend Tyler if he found out. She grabbed my arm and begged me not to say anything. The next few weeks were complete hell. Emma was throwing up every single morning, telling mom it was just the flu going around school. I was covering for her constantly, making excuses why she couldn't eat dinner, why she was so exhausted all the time. Then mom found the pregnancy test wrapper in Emma's bathroom trash can. She came storming into my room at like 11 p.m., waving this crumpled pink wrapper, absolutely screaming about how Emma was throwing her entire life away. Where was I when this was happening? Why didn't I stop this? How could I let my little sister ruin everything? Here's where I completely messed up. Instead of letting Emma tell the truth, I panicked and blurted out that the test was actually mine. Mom went dead silent, just stood there staring at me for what felt like forever. Then she started crying, asking about my secret boyfriend, how long I'd been lying to her face, whether I was planning to keep the baby. I dug myself even deeper, made up this whole elaborate story about a guy named Jake from work, said I was terrified to tell them because I knew they'd be disappointed. Mom actually hugged me and said we'd figure everything out together as a family. The very next morning, she'd already made me a doctor's appointment for that afternoon, bought a bottle of prenatal vitamins, even called out of work to come with me for moral support. At the doctor's office, I'm sitting there in the paper gown, knowing this whole thing is about to completely blow up in my face. The nurse takes my blood, comes back 20 minutes later, looking totally confused. Your hormone levels are completely normal. You're definitely not pregnant. Mom looks at me like I've completely lost my mind. I'm scrambling, saying maybe the home test was a false positive. Maybe I misread it somehow. But mom's not stupid. She knows something's up. The car ride home was dead silent. When we got inside, she called for Emma to come downstairs, made us both sit at the kitchen table like we were little kids again. Someone want to tell me what's really going on here? Emma immediately broke down and confessed absolutely everything. The boyfriend, the pregnancy, how scared she was, all of it. Mom was definitely hurt, but she wasn't nearly as angry as I expected. She was more upset that we'd both been lying to her face for weeks. Here's the part that still makes me physically sick to think about. A few days later, Emma had a miscarriage. Completely natural, she was only about 6 weeks along anyway. But mom had already told my dad's entire family about my supposed pregnancy and how incredibly proud she was that I'd come to her for help instead of hiding it. When I tried to explain what had actually happened, it sounded absolutely insane. Actually, mom, I was never pregnant at all. I was just covering for Emma, but now she's not pregnant either. So nobody was ever really pregnant. My aunts and cousins still think I had some kind of complete mental breakdown. At every single family gathering, they ask how I'm doing mentally and whether I'm staying on my medication that I don't even take. Emma felt so incredibly guilty that she finally told mom the whole truth last Christmas, 3 entire years later. Mom apologized profusely, but honestly, the damage was already done. My whole extended family still treats me like I'm fragile and mentally unstable. And that $50,000 I mentioned, that's exactly how much I've spent on therapy over the past few years, trying to figure out why I keep lying to protect people who clearly don't protect me back. The absolute worst part, Emma and I barely even talk anymore. She told me that being around me just reminds her of the worst time in her entire life. So yeah, don't tell mom about this moment. Sometimes you should definitely just tell mom from the beginning.